What's up guys, Blood Titan here with our review for Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. So for those of y'all who've been in the stream know, I've been playing this game a lot lately and I really am liking it. I think it might be my favorite of the series so far. There's a lot of good things about it, a few bad things, but for the most part it's a very round and balanced game. And it feels like the Smash Bros. Game we've been wanting for quite some time. So without further ado, let's dig right in. So the first and what's noticeably the biggest change with this game is the fact that it does display at a native 1080p and a solid 60 frames per second. There is a couple times when it will drop frames, but we'll get into that later and kind of go into a little bit more of why that happens and where we're finding that at. The colors in this game really do pop. The Wii U does a great job of displaying it and really does outdo what I thought it could do as far as how graphically intense it could handle of a game. This game really does look good and it fully utilizes the Wii U's hardware that it does have inside it compared to the Wii. So the next big change, and where we were also having those issues with the little bit of frame dropping, is in 8-person smashes. With this game, you do have the ability to have 8 fighters fighting all at one time in one arena. Now, those arenas are a select list of arenas picked by Nintendo that have been deemed large enough, or I think you may be able to create maps as well that you can play for this. But even still, a lot of these maps feel way too small and you end up losing yourself inside of them. Now when you have 8 people on a map fighting and big explosions happening everywhere, it does make it to where the game does occasionally drop a frame or two here or there. It's really hard to notice, and it really doesn't detract from the game at all. For the most part, it stays at that 60 frames per second, super solid, and it really is amazing from that standpoint. With these 8 people smash though, you actually have the ability to play with 8 other people, which brings us to our next point and the next big change that there's been in this game. So the ability to play with more people means you need more ways to control the game. With this one, they have brought back some old fan favorites, like the GameCube controller, for example, if you do have the adapter for it, which was sold alongside with certain versions of the game and can be picked up separate, as well as things like they have the Wiimote plus Nunchuck, the Pro controllers, which I think the Wii U's Pro controllers are a lot better than the Wii's. The game tab, which plays really well itself, I might say, a lot better than I originally anticipated on. And last but not least, the 3DS, if you have a copy of Smash Bros. For the 3DS. Now, as far as the game control goes, playing it with this thing, there really isn't very much of a delay. It plays a lot better than you would think, but really, Smash Bros. Is all about simple controls, and it translates really well over to the 3DS. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to play it too much on my 3DS due to the fact that it decided it was time. It was my 3DS's time. So it is no longer with us, unfortunately. But I plan to be picking up a new one. I'm going to grab a 3DS XL here soon. The problem that's happened with it seems to be something that happens with a lot of day one 3DSs. So it might not have been something specifically caused by Smash Brothers, but it's still a thing and it really does suck. But that's that. Things break and you gotta replace them with something bigger, better, and badder. So we're gonna pick up a 3DS XL sometime, hopefully here in the really near future. So the next real notable change that there is with this game is the addition of these amiibo characters. Now right now, the only one that I have is Link. He's been my favorite pretty much up until this game. I've actually found myself playing less of him, more of people like Little Mac and Shulk, but these guys are really cool. They have a little NFC chip here in the bottom of them that whenever you place it onto your gamepad during certain areas, it'll load data off of the NFC character and into your game. You can modify stuff like you can level them up, make them a better, stronger fighter. You can boost their stats and give them special abilities by feeding them items, as well as change out some of their move sets. Now, in order to level these guys up, you can either fight against them, fight with them, or stick them in an arena with a bunch of different AIs that are way over their level and see how they handle it. The last option is what I did to level mine up for the most part. Only problem is they actually learn from how they're being fought against and who they're fighting with. So for example, whoever was in that big smash that I did was very spam happy of their up A. So this little guy right here, all he does is up A all day long. Really hard to fight against, not fun to fight against. So So you really do have to take some, careful consideration into how exactly you go about leveling up your character, not just them leveling up. So it's really cool. I feel like there's a lot more to it than we currently know, than Nintendo is telling us. But they're a really cool figure. The build quality on them is great. As far as these compared to Skylanders are, I feel like these are 10 times better. And I have played a lot of Skylanders, and those do a little bit more as far as you actually get to play with the characters. But these are really cool, and if you haven't picked one up yet, I definitely recommend grabbing at least one just to try it out. If you're like me, though, and like collecting these things, you'll probably end up eventually buying a lot of them because you have nothing better to spend your money on, and you like blowing it. So, yeah, this is bad. Bad Nintendo. Why give us something like this? The last big change that there really is with this game, that at least, it's worth a whole section, is the Smash Tour Edition. It's kind of like Smash Bros. Meets Mario Party. So you run around on a board collecting different power-ups and weapons or items to use during the battles, and pick up extra characters as well. And then once you go through all of your turns, you go into the final Smash, where you play with all of your fighters, and you get the stat boost on all of them, and you kind of have that, and it's a last man standing wins kind of situation. It's really fun, except for the fact that even if you do good in the board game phase, when you go into the final Smash phase, if you just do terrible, you can still lose miserably. The other way is around as well. If, let's say, you're playing on the board game and you do terrible, but you manage to land that character that you're really good with, and you go into Final Smash with just that one guy, and you wreck face on everyone else, you can still win. But it makes it to where it feels like the board game phase doesn't really matter as much. So that's my only complaint about that. It still is fun, and I feel like it's one of those things that's going to be best when you play with other people, but unfortunately I haven't quite had the chance to do that yet. As I do play this game more and hopefully play with more people, I'll kind of post some updates down in the description below as far as, what I feel has gotten better, what I feel may have gotten worse, and kind of where we're standing at from there. So that's it for the really big notable things that they've added. They have added stuff like the Master Orders and Crazy Orders, which is kind of cool. It's a good gold sync as well, and there's some really challenging things. They also added a new All-Star mode where you're playing in reverse chronological order against all the characters in the game as they came out. It's kind of cool because you get to see the older characters and being like, wow, those guys have been around for this long and they look this good right now. It's really, really cool. Now, they did change one thing that I feel it's just not good, and that's the target smash. They've taken it from being the target smash that we've known and loved since Smash Brothers on the N64 to where now it's something more akin to Angry Birds with Smash characters. It's really just not good to me. If people like it, I completely understand it. I've tried. I've played lots and lots of it. I just cannot get into it, though. So, I mean, that's that. Maybe one day I'll like it, but for now, it's just not my thing. Well, guys, that's going to be it for this review. We'll be back next Friday, and hopefully every Friday after that. We're going to be trying to do a video once a week. Next Friday, we are doing the review for Little Big Planet 3. So if you are watching this late, I'll go ahead and leave an annotation right here to that Little Big Planet 3 review. So yeah, be sure to tune back in next week for that. It's going to be really cool. Been really digging that game, but there's definitely a lot of bugs on there that I need to talk about. If you would, go ahead and hit that like button as well as the subscribe button down there. Those do really help me a lot. Lets me know y'all are interested in what I'm putting out and you want me to keep doing it. Let me know what y'all thought about the reviews. If something I said was bad, you thought was good, or vice versa. Leave it down in that comments, as well as what you want to keep seeing from this channel. Alright guys, well that's going to be it. Thanks again for watching, and y'all have a great day, and take it easy.